Welcome back to Uplink. I'm Andrew Hamilton.
I'm Roy Nogletree.
And today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty on the latest subscription service that's popped up. PlayStation Plus is evolving. It's turning into something a little closer to Game Pass, but not quite Game Pass.
We love a good subscription service, don't we, folks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like 15.
Yeah.
So it's
not
a good
everything
time.
that I watch online is now a subscription service.
Yeah, I definitely have cable.
Yeah, absolutely, which is also technically a subscription.
Yeah, you should keep your cable. That for sure. And we have no bias in that.
No, yeah, absolutely none here at a cable company.
Yeah.
The PlayStation Now Plus efforts,
so
it's just going to be just all one thing.
Yeah, so they've decided to combine PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now into a single service where they are taking the benefits of cloud streaming and downloadable PS4 games and PS3 and PS2 and yada, 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 and slamming that together with the subscription for PlayStation Plus, similar to what Game Pass did with Game Pass Ultimate a couple years ago, where they took Gold and Ultimate and Game Pass, put them together to make one brand new thing that was way more expensive, but offered a lot more content. I think this is a good move on their part.
Yeah.
It's got some caveats, though.
Unlike Netflix, they do offer you more content for higher prices.
And they're not just belting out nonsense either, which I think is kind of, we'll get into that more, but I think that's kind of Jim Ryan's point.
So why do you think it is better?
So I don't think it's better than Game Pass, but I do think it's better than what we got now.
Okay. Better than just PlayStation Now by itself. He's dying.
Don't worry about that or the blood. Yeah, so I think it's better than what we've got now. And the important thing to remember is that to this point, PlayStation Now wasn't really a competitor to Xbox Game Pass. It's not really in the same market. They are both streaming for games, but Game Pass is just on another level comparatively, especially since they're able to put games out day and date for a lot of things, including first-party titles.
Yeah. That's the big one.
That's a big draw. Now, I will say that Xbox doing that isn't nearly as big of a deal because a lot of times people aren't going out and buying as many of the Xbox exclusives on day and date. A lot of those things are wait till they go on sale. I like that game series, but I'm not really going to buy it on day one. I'm going to wait and see how the reviews are and stuff first.
And not for nothing, you told me, and this is true in my own personal life, that you'll go and buy a whole console. People will go and buy a whole console, meaning the PlayStation, for brand new releases.
Yeah, and I experienced that when I was working in retail for a long time. That people will go out of their way to purchase new PlayStation consoles, especially after the PS3's massive boom at the end of its life cycle. Yeah. They go out of their way to purchase PlayStation consoles for one game or maybe just like a couple of franchises, and it's insane how little it takes to drive those sales. I had one guy who came in and bought a PS4 as soon as they announced the release date or the release window for God of War. They hadn't even nailed down a day yet, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a PS4 for that game. I don't care about any other game. I want God of War, but I don't want to not have a PS4 whenever it comes out, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy one. I don't think I ever had that experience except for maybe with like Halo related stuff, and after Halo 5 it was probably a little rougher this go around. But
I mean, in my own personal life, like I had to switch to a PlayStation 4 exclusively to get, I play a lot of sports games, a lot of people know this. I had to play, I had to get a PS4 to exclusively play MLB The Show. But on top of that, I also wanted to play The Last of Us because I felt left out.
Right.
And so, to play some of these certain games, now The Show is cross-party compatible. They also offer for Xbox. But people will go out of their way to buy these PlayStation games now. So that's why we'll get into why they're not releasing, or that is basically why they're not releasing day of games or exclusive games on this new PlayStation
First, let's
Plus.
talk about these new subscription models.
Go ahead.
So you're still going to have your essential PlayStation Plus. That'll offer you the same benefits you've always gotten. You'll still get for a year at $59.99, you'll be able to get access to online multiplayer, exclusive deals in the store, and up to 4 downloadable games a month through the PlayStation Plus catalog. You'll also still get the PlayStation Plus collection, which is the 20 games that came out whenever the PS5 came out.
Includes things like if you don't know, includes things like God of War,
Mortal Kombat
Mortal
X.
Kombat. It includes the remastered The Last of Us.
Yeah. Uncharted 4, Uncharted Nathan Drake collection.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank. We can go on and on.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot.
Things that you associate PlayStation with.
Bloodborne. So that's the base model. It's still there. It's not going away. And you don't have to worry about an upcharge happening if you just want to stick at that tier. Next up is the extra tier. PS Plus Extra is $100 a year and gives you access to up to 400 games of the highest quality, curated from the PS4 and PS5 library, available for you to download at your leisure.
A PS4 small EA.
Yeah.
Not really. There are so many games that you don't even realize that are out, especially even now because I got a gift card to go in, so I just downloaded 3 months of PlayStation Now just to check it out. As a novice, I was like, why not? Like, why not go see? There are so many games that you don't even realize are released.
Yeah.
That they even have on there now. That, you know, as a casual game player like myself, like very casual, there's so many games that you're not even realizing that they're releasing. So to have access to some of these games, as well as, you know, more indie games and stuff that they release all the time, is actually really cool. Plus a back catalog, and we'll get into that's the next tier, right?
Yeah. So then, that's the next
further
tier.
down.
I will say this about that extra tier. I like the phrasing when talking about this collection of 400 games. The biggest problem I ever had with PS Now was that you had like the top 12 titles that were really good. You're like, God, that's crazy. They got that? And this one? I love those games. And then you get down a little bit and you're like, what is Crayola Adventure 47? I never even heard of that. And it gets into real trash pile stuff as you go farther down. And it's
WWE from like 2016.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that you're just like, that's what you guys could get. You got like your own games and a few big name games, and then 487 awful games or games that are just mediocre. So I like the idea that this is going to be a more curated. They're taking into account like what people have liked. I like that they've already confirmed that PS5 games are going to be included in that, because right now you cannot stream PS5 games from PS Now. And so I think that this is a good step. It's going to really matter what those 400 games are, though.
It needs to be games that have actually sold, to be completely honest with you, because you get down and like, I mean, Overcooked sold a good bit, but you know, my wife and I are playing Overcooked now. But
and it's a lot of fun. But
it's a lot of fun, but it's not things that people are actively searching out. Now, I don't know for me personally, I don't know of 400 games that are perfectly curated that have sold a ton, but it needs to be games at least, you know, I don't even have a number, but at least a few dozen or so that people actively are going to search out that maybe they've missed in the past, maybe they haven't been able to play in the past, and that they can go and re-download and play to make it worth the cost, which it's not, you know, $100 a year. Times are hard for people, but for the value of that,
it's on par with what you pay for a Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah,
about the same.
So the value of that for 400 games is good, but you still need to make it worth the people's time to like shell out their hard-earned cash on games that people have actually played. So you want to make gaming sort of a thing that, yes, it is entertainment. It is like sometimes it is a hobby for a lot of people, but a lot of the things for me, I compare games and movies to where it's like, you want to go to people and be like, hey, remember that game that you said that you play? And you can go and find it.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, I've been playing, like you said, Crayola Creations, and they're like, what is that? You know what I mean? And like, you can't talk about that.
It's got to be the big name. They did bring a lot of the big name titles in this reveal blog post that they did, where they talked about how Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales will both be on there.
Which stinks for me, because I just bought Miles Morales. This comes out in June.
The Last of Us Part 2 will be on there. God of War will be on there. Mortal Kombat 11 will be on there. If they can keep a lot of those big name titles while also providing maybe some third-party titles on a first-day release basis, like they did with Shadow Warrior 3 on PlayStation Now, I think it's going to really improve the quality of what they have to offer. So I'm excited to see what it really is.
What's the next tier down there? There's 3 or 4 tiers.
Yeah, so there's 3 tiers altogether.
tiers.
I guess 4 tiers if you count the one that's only available in places where the 3rd tier isn't available. But
Sure.
we're not going to count that because this isn't one of those places.
This is America.
Yeah, this is America.
We're doing American
We get everything. Sometimes.
Except for free healthcare.
Yeah, let's not get into it. I don't want to be sad.
No, go ahead. What's the 3rd tier? And this is what's funny to me is that it said PS1 games, which, to blow the dust off of those things, and PSP games.
Yeah, so
I don't know how that works.
This 3rd tier is going to be, it's all the benefits of the first 2 tiers, plus an additional 320 games added to the library that are made up of PS3, PS2, PS1, and PSP games streamed through
Eat your heart out, PS Vita.
Yeah, and of course there's no Vita love. Sorry, Greg Miller. It's interesting that they are doing this. I saw a pretty funny take that's like, it's crazy to me that literally no one knows how the PS3 works, and that's the only reason that they're having to relegate that stuff to streaming is because they don't know how to make their consoles play backwards compatible with PS3.
Really?
I don't know, but it must be complicated if they couldn't just make it happen.
Yeah.
Since the Xbox was able to make it happen, but their stuff has remained mostly like identical. PlayStation typically redesigns their architecture quite a bit. But I am interested to see what these games are. 320 isn't a lot across 5 generations worth of stuff. And so it's like, again, got to be like a really good curated list.
Give me the original Crash Bandicoot.
I'm sure that'll be there, but there's also, and that's an interesting one actually, because Activision owns that now.
Oh yeah.
So, and Activision just got bought by Microsoft if it goes through. See link here.
Yeah.
Or over here. Could be over here. I'm not sure. I'll put it somewhere. Whoever, whatever. What's going on with my hair? Doesn't matter. Cut it off.
Yeah.
Digitally remove my hair.
Activision.
Right, yeah. Sorry. I have ADD. So Activision, Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard, as we reported on earlier this year. And if that goes through, that's going to put some of this in a weird spot. So I think part of the reason we're seeing a more restricted number of games being offered here is because they're like, well, can't bring the Bethesda titles, can't bring the Activision Blizzard titles, and that's a lot of stuff across a wide spectrum. Plus anything Microsoft picks up from a smaller.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Fallout Bethesda?
Yes.
Yeah, but they currently offer that already on the.
So yeah,
PlayStation
but that's from a
Collection.
pre-existing contract.
Okay.
And there's going to be some crossover like that they're okay. Like Microsoft is big on, dude. Yeah, we're playing. Don't even worry about it. We're playing.
We're
fair.
playing ball.
Why would I ever want to hurt you? I mean. Just because we're competitors doesn't mean I have to demolish you and crush you entirely. You can have the scraps. That's what you get.
Every mega corporation ever. It'll be interesting to see how they're able to share those games, and that's something like a revelation we just had because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Like Call of Duty's a big one. That would have previously, if I'm sure, and this probably shook up the whole thing during talks and stuff, but I'm sure during the planning, one of the big announcements they were planning to make was that Call of Duty was going to be an exclusive day and date launch thing for Project Spartacus, or what is now PlayStation Extra, and that they found out that they weren't going to be able to do that after all because of the Microsoft purchase. And so it's like, that leaves a lot of third-party stuff relying on places like Bandai Namco and Square Enix and Ubisoft to bring in enough content to make up the library that they need.
Yeah. Do you think this will actually end up being even a natural competitor to Game Pass, seeing as like if you have Game Pass, you can get things like, I don't know, Madden and 2K and stuff like that on the day of release.
Yeah.
For essentially, we like to say that like things like, oh, it's free on Netflix or it's free on whatever streaming.
It's not free.
It's not free, but like
you got to pay for the internet.
You got to pay for it somewhere, but essentially, yeah, you're getting Madden for free because you've already paid the lump sum. Like, is it? Do you think this will be a natural competitor?
So I do, for two reasons. One, I think that they wouldn't bother with this if they had lost all hope of being a competitor here. I think that the idea that the PS4 and PS5 games make up that entirety of that 400 plus collection there is that they have already made partnerships and deals going forward for third-party exclusives or even third-party like Japanese releases and stuff, so that will get them a niche audience that you don't get from the Game Pass library as much. On top of that, the only reason Madden and that kind of stuff is on there is because EA Plays is included in Game Pass. It wouldn't normally be part of Game Pass stuff because Xbox doesn't own that, and that deal had to be struck separately. I'm certain that with PlayStation having the wider install base, that EA will be just as likely to go to them with the same offer, with the exclusion of backwards compatible titles.
Right. So yeah, it isn't a Game Pass exclusive. EA Play is just lumped into that. Okay.
So I think that stuff will be there. But I think their big strong suit is that they have a good relationship with a lot of companies. And
I mean, it's Sony. Come on, man. Like we're talking about these things like they're indie studios, and then again, it's like Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, they're mega corporations. We're just here to be the wretches that have to purchase this stuff.
Right.
But
does it seem like a day one purchase for you?
Yeah, for me it probably will be because I like to. Here's the thing: I have Game Pass, and I love Game Pass. I don't use Game Pass very often. It's a service.
What a commercial for their product.
Yeah, for the low price of just $2 a day, you too can have access to Game Pass, like I do.
Access.
And then just don't use it. Don't do it. You don't need it. It's not that important. But no, Game Pass is a crazy cool idea, done excellently. It handles a wide variety of internet speeds very well, so there's a lot of options. Downloading games is swift and easy. It is a super cool tool. But the stuff that's on there that I would want to play is only on there for a certain amount of time, a lot of times. And then there's just something about the overwhelming choice there that makes it less likely for me to go there. Whereas when I'm purchasing games and stuff, I purchase them with intent to play them. But having that whole, it's like Netflix, and me and my fiance will sit on the couch and she's, I want to watch a horror movie. Oh yeah, let's go to the horror movies. And then we're in like comedy, like 15 minutes later, like there's nothing to watch. But there's like, we passed like 15 movies that we wanted to watch.
It was the same problem when we had basic cable or direct TV. You'd have 700 channels
and nothing to watch. But there are things that you want.
Because I've gone through PlayStation Now, and even with like the random titles that they have on there, I have scrolled for 45 minutes trying to find something that I wanted to play. Now with more, I enjoy PlayStation games usually more, especially the exclusives, more than I do Xbox. He's dying. The thing,
just a little blood.
It'll be interesting to see like the choices that you have with that.
Yeah,
that is an interesting factor.
And I think it's also going to matter about how the experience is presented to me. If like Xbox, it's just a big chunky window that has 1,000 games in it, and I've got to scroll down that window to find the few things I want to play, I'm less likely to stick around and look through it all for the amount of time that I have to play games. I do think Xbox has improved drastically on Game Pass in the last few years, that there's a lot more like indie titles and stuff I wouldn't purchase normally that I would want to give a try. But because it's a service that I use only for like very specific instances, the library isn't enough on its own. Like Bethesda games are great. I love Doom. I'm a big Doom fan. I love Fallout, kind of. Skyrim has been released too many times.
Love some Fallouts.
But I like it. Wolfenstein is one of my all-time favorites. I've played them all. Yeah. And I don't really want to go back and play them again when there's new experiences coming out, which is where that day one release stuff comes in. But Xbox doing that doesn't appeal to me as often because they don't release a lot of games that I typically enjoy from their teams. They've released a lot of stuff. Like the whole reason I wanted Game Pass was for Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah.
Both excellent games that I've played far less than anything on my PlayStation or Nintendo Switch. I have access to them, but there's nothing driving me to play those.
That's another thing too here. We made the joke the other day. I said Nintendo Switch won't even touch anything like this because they are going to release Mario Party to you,
and you'll buy
it until the Lord comes back. They are going to continue to release every single Smash Brothers until the sun explodes. You will not ever see a Game Pass.
Smash Bros is the only one they'll never re-release because they don't want you to go backwards. You got to buy the new one.
Yeah,
and buy all the DLC.
Yeah.
But yeah, and to quote one of my favorite YouTubers, Donkey, you know, Nintendo games don't lose value. They stay at $59.99, and hell, they could throw $69.99 on there, and you would buy it.
Yep.
Do you know why? Because it says Nintendo on it. There's nothing more synonymous with gaming than the word Nintendo.
Yep. It's almost like Kleenex at this point. But I think, yeah, you'll never see this with the Switch. Have they released any sort of footage of what this will look like for PlayStation yet?
Not yet. Okay. So we're about 3 months out from the launch. In June, Jim Ryan, who's the CEO of Sony of America, said that they are planning for a June release. They just wanted to touch base with everyone and give everyone a look forward and let them know about pricing and stuff. They'll have more to reveal in the coming months. He also...
It's coming up quick.
Yeah. He also specifically wanted to let people know that the reason that they're not putting day and date launches for their first-party titles is because they think that it will eventually lower the quality of their games over time because, for one, there's no money fun being like you look at like HBO Max, and they did all those skip theatrical releases to put on HBO Max, and that cost them a ton of money.
Yeah, kicked in the teeth at the box office.
And they had the money to offset it, kind of, but there were a lot of variables there. Xbox and PlayStation may be competing, but Microsoft's money source is on another level. It is literally over 6 times the amount of Sony's available revenue. So there's just no way Sony can eat the cost of not making the money back on the cost for those games. Whereas Microsoft's like, we'll just sell some more computer stuff, you know?
I don't necessarily, yes and no, I don't fully believe that it would like decrease like how hard people work on these games.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying that there would be less available resources to funnel into them.
That's fair, but yeah, saying like the back end of that is also, please buy our games for $60, sometimes even $99 a pop.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go that
if you want to go
far.
the mega ultra super
I don't think it's
gold
quite
ticket route.
I don't think it's quite as cynical as that.
I'm very cynical. I see right through that.
And the reason I don't think it's as cynical is because if Sony wanted to do what Sony does, like with their movies and stuff, and just be like, hey, we're not going to release it this way. We're going to charge you more for this. They would be more upfront with it. The fact that they are putting titles that have come out fairly recently on this new service already kind of gives me hope that may not be day and date release, but maybe a month after release, they're willing to put it up on these services.
I was going to say,
still
if they
not as
start,
bad.
like, I think HBO kind of learned their lesson from that because with the Batman,
it hits on April 4th.
It hits on 2 months after its initial release. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the direction that we're going. One with streaming services, but also with like now gaming things is I'll wait, but I'll still purchase the service. You know what I mean?
Now, I will say that Microsoft claims, and there has been no evidence to dispute this, but not really a whole lot of evidence to prove it, but Microsoft has claimed that there is no correlation between games that are included on Game Pass and a drop in sales. There is, because most of the games, in fact, some indie games even see a boost in sales because of being on Game Pass. Which I get, because some people are like, well, I want to keep this game so that if it leaves Game Pass, I still have it, and I really like this game or whatever.
That's how they'll get you, is that they'll end up like what we take off.
Yeah.
This is leaving this so and so date. Watch it 1,000 times.
Right, yeah, and I do think that there's some truth to that probably. I don't think that necessarily means that it wouldn't cost more money to Sony to do that, because while they have both produced AAA games, Sony oftentimes puts in some insane amount of technology and money into their first-party titles to try to make them the best on the market, which means a lot of resources and stuff that go, like, they don't release budgets for those games, and probably for a good reason, because you would go, that's insane. Like, I still can't
These
get over
games
something.
cost, I mean, you think of like the mega ultra budgets for, and I don't know if it's this, but like, think of a Marvel movie,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
The first Destiny game took $500 million to make. $500 million.
It still was broken.
And it was still broken and not very good. It took more money than that to make it kind of good a year and a half later.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
they
think
did it
of,
again.
for these mega ultra, like, honestly, Miles Morales or the first Spider, like, think of the cost of making Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, and you're there.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how it goes. I'm excited to see what comes of it in June. I think that there's a lot to be wary of with this kind of stuff, but it's not ambitious, overly ambitious, but it's also not boring.
It's not the
and
end of the
bad.
gaming community either,
Yeah.
or the end of these AAA games. for
No,
what it's
like,
worth.
and they're still going to be putting out the same level of stuff that they have been. And I think eventually we'll probably see them go to like a month after release. That's when they'll put those games on. But we'll have to see. I don't think Xbox has anything to worry about,
No.
because they'll just buy another thing and then have enough games to also do that.
Oh, Richie Rich, they'll throw more money at it. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how it goes, especially, because some of these AAA games, like, that go up against these other games, like, unfortunately, what we've talked about it, Horizon Forbidden West went up right against Elden Ring. So
Yeah.
it's like, that feels like a game with this where you would be like, oh, well, purchase Game Pass, or not Game Pass, purchase this new PlayStation, what are they calling it?
It's still Plus.
Yeah,
It's just
PlayStation Plus,
Extra. It's
extraordinary.
PS Plus Extra Plus Ultra mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Purchase that, and you'll get this release a month later. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Maybe that's something that they can do,
Right, and then
with
that-
games that don't sell, AAA games especially, that don't sell great upon initial launch. Now, most of these games usually do.
Yeah, even with Elden Ring coming out the same
it's still
week
it's still
or
sold
same month,
tons.
it's still sold tons. So I don't think they're worried about that as much. I do think that it got quickly overshadowed by Elden Ring, and that's what happens a lot of the times. The only other piece of news that we got this week is
State of play for Harry Potter.
the state of play for Harry Potter
That's what we were
was
gonna
really
talk
good.
about.
That's totally what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing, I don't know. It seems a little all over the place, crazy. If it's
I love Harry Potter. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie.
I mean, look, I don't care as much about Harry Potter as I did when I was younger, but
Yeah.
I do still like that universe. I think there's a lot of interesting things that can be done with it. Whether or not this game is doing those things is on a different level, because I think that this can either be one of two things: a very fun role-playing game that has action-adventure elements to it and has a great flowing combat system, or a very boring school simulator game where I have to go to potions class 3 days a week, and if I don't do
level
it,
up,
then I
yeah.
get expelled or something. And
We made it so interactive.
this is so interactive. You get
You have to
kicked
take
back to underneath
finals.
the staircase if you don't
You have to
pass your finals.
No, it looks. The one thing that I always wanted to do with the Harry Potter universe, which I thought was really interesting, is explore more. I mean,
Yeah.
and you couldn't do that in the games that they put out with the movies, because obviously it followed the storyline of
Right,
the
yeah.
movies. I think the Quidditch World Cup game was really fun that they used to put out. So there's
Yeah.
stuff that they put out with this IP that has been genuinely fun. And look, he dropped his mic, and it's it's
Robbie,
fun
don't
to
look.
it's fun to play around in this universe. But yeah, for it to be like the RPG elements of it to be like, you have to go to Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of cool stuff that they're doing here. I think that there's clearly been a lot of love and effort put into the game.
Been
I'm
working
not
on it for years.
Yeah, I'm not knocking the team here.
Well, the creative director just left, right?
Yeah. after finishing most of the game he left.
Oh, okay.
But so the game will be out later this year. We will likely have Katie Opperly join us to to talk about it, because if you don't know, Katie Opperly is a massive Harry Potter nerd, and so she'll be happy to talk about anything that's wrong with it and everything that is great about it.
Well, we'll be talking about, oh, well, the combat doesn't work, and she'll be like, well, this spell doesn't even exist.
Yeah, she'll be like, well, that's not even Latin. So I'm very interested to see where that goes.
Yeah.
The news I was actually going to say is that Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed to 2023.
Pain.
Yeah, but hey, at least I don't have to also pay for that this year. So
Yeah.
There's already enough crap that I really want to play that's coming out, and I'm running out of time
And money.
and mostly the money. So that's all I've got this week.
Oh, it gives me more of a chance to actually finish Breath of the Wild, the longest game of all time.
Yeah, games are too long, and I'm a
Man, that
dad.
game is so long. It's incredible. I thought I got through the I was gonna say preamble. I got through the first level of it, and I was just like, wait, that was 10 hours.
Yeah,
It was so long.
So I felt about Elden Ring. I was like, oh.
Was there still game in this game left?
No, there's still more.
There's still more of this game.
Look,
That's where I am with Breath of the Wild. So maybe I'll finish Breath of the Wild by the time the Breath of the Wild 2 comes out.
I'm a father of two who works a really weird schedule, and then also does this. Games are too long, and I'm trying to review them, and I'm doing my best, guys. I really am, but I'm so tired. Please put out shorter games. Anyway, for Hardwired and Uplink, I'm Andrew Hamilton,
I'm Roy Noggletree.
and we'll catch you guys next time.
Hit the subscribe button here.
It's around here. You'll find it.